Monday night. A San Antonio man arrested in Hallettsville on drug and gun charges. Plus, 7 years ago tomorrow, 11-year-old Kevin Garza was killed in a pedestrian crash. The driver never stopped.
We had additional showers this afternoon, but they weren't anything like last night. You can see the activity now dropping southward. That's with that little front that created the rain yesterday. We'll be talking about that and take a look at the Atlantic coming up in just a moment.
And the Victoria East and West volleyball teams faced off on the hardwood, and this one went down to the final point. We have highlights in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. Edna hit hard by last night's storm. Police warning drivers to go home as emergency workers reported broken gas lines and electrical lines down all over town. The National Weather Service tells us Edna was hit by straight line thunderstorm winds, probably in the 60 to 70 mile an hour range. The Edna ISD canceled classes today as residents cleaned up from last night's storm.
But even Harvey didn't do this much damage, and it blew the awning and the tree branches. That's most of the damage. We have a little roof damage, but all over town there's power lines down. We had electricity gone.
AEP Texas reports tonight that 46 customers in Jackson County still without power. This is Skyview 25 over areas hit hard by the storm last night in Edna. Our crew this morning saw a fast food restaurant sign blown over, and our viewers sent photos of damage to homes and an RV on its side. A number of trees were damaged near the courthouse and other areas. Workers had to clear several streets of debris. No reports of any injuries. The storm hit Lavaca County Monday night. County Road 367 closed until debris was removed by crews from a downed tree blocking the road. That Lavaca County road now reopened. Victoria firefighters busy with a report of a downed power line around 7 a.m. It happened at a home in the 4700 block of Begonia Lane. The power company called in to help with the issue. No one was hurt. Downed power lines, a big concern for areas hit by last night's storm. You should always treat a downed power line as if it's live. In Victoria, we saw at least 1 inch of rain. Some areas had water over parking lots and roadways. The storm continued moving south into Calhoun and Refugio counties. Here's your viewer poll tonight. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote. Here's the question. Did you experience storm damage last night? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 11% of the voters say yes. 89% say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Mac, talk about that kind of wind, 70 mile an hour wind, straight line wind that hit Edna last night.
Yes. When the storms build, you see them build very tall. A severe thunderstorm has to be a certain altitude. And what that does is it connects up with the colder air in the higher atmosphere, but when they collapse, that wind just comes straight down and causes the kind of problems that we saw. I mean, you have to go after the storm to see the way the debris was laid out to see if it was a storm or a hurricane or a tornado. Here's a thunder shower activity that developed later this afternoon, but it's not anything severe. And we'll be talking more about what to expect in your forecast in just a few minutes.
Adarius, thank you. Victoria ISD board members focused on accountability this evening. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick was at the board meeting and has more. Adarius?
Well done. Victoria ISD board members called a special meeting, which means the public received an opportunity to speak. The main focus for the meeting was accountability. According to the TEA, accountability rates schools' performances on standardized tests, graduation rates, and students' readiness for college, a career, or the military. Board President Mike Mercer wants students and the community to make the decision on which lane to take, but the board works to see every student successful and accountable.
What is important to you? As a member of our community, what is important to you that our students achieve? What is important to you that our students become in the process? Because that's what we're honing in on. And that's
Mercer says VISD's accountability rating progressed in the past year. Now the board wants to continue the trend year after year. Also, they plan to include the community in steps taken to see this trend of progression. Done with higher accountability, we'll see more doctors, police officers, and U.S. soldiers come from Victoria. Back to you.
Darius, thank you. Monday night, Hallettsville police made a traffic stop on the 2000 block of U.S. Highway 77 South for a traffic violation. In a search of the vehicle, marijuana, a firearm, and cocaine were found. 24-year-old Christian Abram Garcia of San Antonio arrested on drug possession and unlawful carry of a weapon charges. Wednesday will mark 7 years since Kevin Garza was killed by a hit-and-run vehicle driver. An arrest has not been made and a suspect has not been named. At this point, Kevin's mom does not think that justice will come in the way of an arrest. Darlene Moya thinks the power of prayer and positive energy is more important. Kevin's closet was open to bring good to the community as well as to honor her 11-year-old son while keeping his face and name alive in the community.
It helps bring awareness to the case because people come in and they ask questions. Have they found the person that hit him? You know, so we tell them no. And sometimes there's confusion because sometimes they think the person, you know, that they already found the person. So when we tell them no, the person has not been found.
Darlene does want the suspect to be apprehended, but more than anything, she does not want Kevin to be forgotten and become just some other case to some people because he is a son. He's somebody's brother, somebody's grandson, somebody's friend and classmate. Tomorrow, like I mentioned, is the 7-year anniversary of the day Kevin Garza was killed in that pedestrian crash. You can read more about this story on crossroadstoday.com under News. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. So when you're on YouTube, you can get Crossroads Today. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. In Houston, a lawsuit claims an employee at a restaurant shot at a customer over missing curly fries. Also ahead, Target shutting down 9 of its stores in major cities due to violence and theft.
Hi, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs with the Victoria Police Department. Victoria Crime Stoppers is seeking information about burglaries of a motor vehicle. The Victoria Police Department is seeking the identity of a Hispanic male who is the suspect of 2 separate burglaries of a motor vehicle. These burglaries occurred on September 6th and September 21st of 2023 at a business at the 6100 block in North Navarro. The Hispanic male was caught on surveillance video on the 2 separate dates. The suspect shows to be driving a blue Nissan Versa. If you have any information about these burglaries of a motor vehicle, please call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. You can also submit a tip by using the P3 Tip app on your Android or Apple device, or by visiting our website at www.crimestoppersvictoria.com. All tips are anonymous, and if you give information that leads to arrest or charges being filed, you could earn a cash reward. With the Victoria Police Department, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs.
Breaking tonight, a fire that raced through a hall hosting a Christian wedding in northern Iraq killed at least 100 people and injured 150 others. Authorities warn the death toll could rise higher. No immediate official word on the cause of the blaze, but first media reports suggested fireworks at the venue may have sparked the fire. Television video shows charred debris inside of the wedding hall. A lawsuit claims a Jack in the Box employee in Houston shot at a customer over curly fries. The shooting happened in 2021. The lawsuit says a father was picking up an order that included curly fries for his family. An employee seemed to be agitated with the father in the driver's seat. Halfway through the video, the employee showed a gun. She was first charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, but pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of deadly conduct.
Shooting to kill. You've seen the video. She's aiming. She's leaning. She's not just going up in the air trying to scare people. She's trying to kill them.
The family from Florida filed the lawsuit after the guilty plea, claiming Jack in the Box was negligent for not keeping customers safe from potentially dangerous employees. In its first answer, Jack in the Box denied all allegations, writing they have no control over or legal responsibility for a third-party employee. Target closing 9 of its stores due to crime and safety threats. The affected stores include one in New York City, 2 locations in Seattle, 3 stores in the San Francisco-Oakland area, and 3 more in Portland, Oregon. Those stores will shutter for good on October 21st. Target outspoken about organized retail crime at its stores, saying that damaged, misplaced, or stolen goods will account for a $500 million hit to their yearly profits.
Well, good evening, everyone. We did have additional shower activity around the area, but it wasn't anything like last night. Here we are located, and you can see the thunderstorms came from up north and then down south to our area. All of this continuing to move south with that little frontal system that triggered the activity. But I wanted to show you this. Don, look at this. This is a car in Round Rock, Texas that was hit with hail on Sunday night. Somebody had took a hammer to it, and that's just one photo. There were car dealerships that looked like this, so it was a huge hail system. Now, coming up, we'll be talking about what to expect for the rest of the week, and we'll take a look at the tropics as well.
Army veteran Rene Reyes is your military hero for the month of September. Reyes was born and raised in Goliad, and just a few days after he finished high school, he joined the United States Army.
10 days after I got out, I joined the military, the Army, because my dream was to be a paratrooper, and my dream came true.
His reasoning for joining the service goes back to his childhood.
I got in trouble when I was 14 years old in Goliad, and my punishment was to report to our sheriff every Saturday for 2 months and do whatever he wanted me to do. And he was a World War II airborne trooper. He made the big jumps, Normandy Day and all of that, D-Day, and he would tell me stories, and I told him I want to be a paratrooper. You got to realize I was 114 pounds at the time, and 5'2" probably. He said, "You'll never make it." And I came back and I showed him my wings. I said, "I made it." He said, "I knew you could do it." That's the reason I went airborne. This man, he challenged me, and I took his challenge up. That's the reason.
So in 1963, he joined the Army and served in the Vietnam War. But just getting to Vietnam was a challenge. As Reyes says, the U.S. government sent him on a cruise in July of 1965.
It took us 22 days to get to Vietnam on a troop carrier that had over 4,000 troops on it. Can you imagine that? I know you can. Well, I went through that too.
Reyes was assigned to the 101st Airborne Division, and once in Vietnam, he was in combat infantry, or as he calls it, a grunt. In Vietnam, he was in the jungles of the Central Highlands the whole time, catching malaria at one point, and he had to be hospitalized for 8 weeks.
Go out there and get them. And that was my job, or our job as infantry. Grunt is get it.
He was moved around Vietnam via helicopter and would be dropped off in jungles, left there for about a week at a time, going on search and clear missions as well as search and destroy missions.
It wasn't a good war, I'm telling you that right now.
Reyes is also a Purple Heart recipient.
We were involved in a helicopter crash. We were landing in a hillside because we had incoming fire, and the pilot and co-pilot both got hit, and the chopper crashed, and we all got screwed up and messed up. But that's where I got my Purple Heart.
Over 58,000 American service members died in the Vietnam War. Reyes is thankful to have made it back.
My unit, we lost a lot of them. And my unit was first of the 327 Battalion. We lost 758, I think, something like that.
58,000 lives lost is a staggering number, and it's important to not get lost in the numbers. Each one of those is a person who made the ultimate sacrifice for you and I's freedoms as Americans. One of those lives lost is a man by the name of Reuben Lewis Garnett Jr. from Stilton, Pennsylvania. Reyes considers him his guardian angel.
They call him Sweet Daddy Grace. He was 6'4", about 260 pounds. Big guy. Perfect paratrooper. I wasn't. One of our major battles we were in was in March the 4th, 1966. And Reuben saved my life that day and saved, I would say, several other people. And he got killed. He got killed trying to save the lieutenant's life. Me and my wife now actually flew to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to see his mother. So I could tell her thank you. But why him and the other guys too? Why them, not us, But the Lord has his way,
Reyes put it best, paratroopers never actually die.
Old troopers never die, they just grab other wings, period.
Coming home wasn't easy either.
Nobody told us welcome home when we got home. But now I'm telling everybody welcome home. And that's our Vietnam veterans, Vietnam veterans, that's how we greet each other, welcome home. And that's it.
Reyes would come back to Victoria and raise a family with his wife and worked at Alcoa for 38 years. His daughter was an athlete, so he would support her at all her games. And his son actually worked here at the news station.
I have an older boy, like I said. He worked for KVU. He came in to work for y'all guys, same time Brubaker did. I remember Don back in the day, but he knows me.
Reyes is also very active in numerous veterans organizations here in Victoria. He actually served as the first president of the Vietnam Veterans of America Victoria Extension. One of his proudest involvements is the Victoria County Veterans Council. His work with the funeral detail, meaning they'll show up to any funeral for any veteran that passes away in Victoria County, something that's very important to him. He urges other veterans to help out and join these organizations, as well as younger veterans to join. Reyes comes from a military background with his dad serving in World War II and brothers who also served, saying he's proud of that and that serving made him a better person.
Responsibility. You're on your own now, son. Ain't got no mama or daddy to take care of you. You're on your own. You do whatever you want to, whatever you think you need to do. But that's what it is.
Reyes is a skilled carpenter and enjoys relaxing with his wife and his dog, Cody Renee, and spending time with fellow veterans. He actually went to play poker at the VFW right after our interview. So thank you, Rene Reyes, for your service to your country. And let's take a moment to think about our fellow Americans who made the ultimate sacrifice, like Mr. Reuben Lewis Garnett and so many others. I'm Adam Seibel, KAVU TV 25 News Now.
Well, good evening, everybody. 81 degrees right about now. We did manage to get back up into the 90s again. 94 was our high temperature, but obviously today wasn't anything like last night. Last night we were here at 10 o'clock when all that stuff was rolling through. You probably heard it. Edna did get the brunt of it. It looked like 2.4 inches, 1.3 in Telford. Port Lavaca also got a lot of wind and stormy weather with the storm passing through. Western side of the city, only 4900s. Goliad 4/10, and Cuero came in with 4400s as well. You know, don't get me wrong, we need the rain, just don't need the severe weather. At this hour of the night, where are we? We are located, where did they move Victoria? Oh, I moved the map. Here's Victoria. We are having a few little showers that are popping up, but they're all moving southbound, and there's nothing heavy in this activity. So that's the good news. That's actually the little frontal system I promised you last week that actually made it through, triggered all that activity, and moved it south. And you saw that picture of the cars up in north of Austin, Georgetown, Round Rock, all that area. They really got hammered. 94 was our high, 97 in Austin and San Antonio. We're staying in the mid 90s, low 90s. And then later this week, we're actually going back to the mid 90s. I can't, you know, you're thinking, okay, it's fall now, let's do it. But here's what's happening. The front is basically evaporating. There will be no differences on either side of the line. And then this little frontal system moves east, so it's sort of pushing everything in that direction. What's happening is that the old dome is coming back. Yeah, it's coming back into the central plains, and it's going to raise the pressure pattern on top of us. So that means it's going to get a little bit warmer. And even though, you know, theoretically you shouldn't get any rain under a dome like that, but we've got so much moisture on the ground that the heating will pop up a few little showers. And then I watch the northwest, because this time of year when the big, powerful Pacific storms start rolling in, and eventually one of these will get strong enough to take this thing and push it all the way down to the southern hemisphere and send it away. And goodbye. We've had enough. Meanwhile, in the tropics, we do have Philippe right about here. And Philippe is a tropical storm. It looks like it's going to be curving and affecting the Caribbean islands. But it's going to be a tropical storm, not a major hurricane. Meanwhile, we've got this one, which is going to be Rina, I believe. And Rina will also develop and sort of take a similar track and then start going and turning. There are too many fronts already moving through North America to actually allow any of that to move in our direction. So if you happen to have a chance to go do a little fishing tomorrow morning, your sunrise is at 7:19. Your sunset, hey, this is good. Sun's now going down at 7:17, so that means we're getting less and less sunshine. That should mean we're going to got to break this heat. Seas will be 2 to 3 feet, but there will be some shower activity in the afternoon hours. For those of you in Port Lavaca, you start off at 76, get to 91 with partly cloudy skies and a couple of isolated showers. 73 in Cuero, getting up to 94. And then for the next few days, well, we'll have our best chance of showers tomorrow. Then less and less, and then temperatures going up to the mid 90s again, 96, but at least we don't have any heat advisories up for the next 7 days. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code, and we want you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Mr. Gino with sports.
Thanks, Mac. Boca Victoria 5A public schools win their district opener last week. We hear from the coaches after the break. At a Crossroads, fans are still on a adrenaline high after tonight's game between Victoria East and West, which went all 5 sets. Both fan bases showed up and stayed loud the entire time, showing their school spirit. East had never won this game before and forced a 5th set, and this was the final point. The West Warriors battled all the way back, and at the net, boom, spikes it in for the final point. This was the 14th year that these two teams have met, and the West Lady Warriors are now on a 28-game win streak after tonight. Final scores were 25-15, 20-25, 25-13, 21-25, and 17-15 in the final set. The two will play October 13th, this time at West High School. Speaking of Victoria East, the football team, along with head coach Charlie Reeve, are coming off its first district win of the season. East is coming off a 43-7 win over Corpus Christi Carroll and are going to host C.C. Miller Friday night. Miller is 4-0 on the season and has multiple playmakers on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball and speed to go with it. Coach Reeves said this will be the toughest team that the Titans face up to this point.
Well, it's huge. I mean, you know, starting district and being 1-0, and I mean, our goal is to win a district championship, and so to do that, you got to win the first one. And I thought our kids came out with a lot of energy, and I thought we executed well, and really finally, you know, put 4 quarters together.
The Titans will have Kason Coley under center, and Coach Reeve has been preaching for the team to focus on their assignments and to take care of the football. Crosstown, the Victoria West Warriors got its first win of the season along with its first district win this past Friday. The West Warriors are on a short timetable this week since they will be playing C.C. Moody Trojans on Thursday night. The Warriors have experience with short weeks since they had a scrimmage earlier in the season on a Thursday. Warriors head coach Courtney Boyce said this team has dealt with momentum shifts in the last week and focusing on determining how him and his team can go 2-0 in district after Thursday night.
Offensively, they really keep you on your toes. You know, and then their defense, I mean, they do a really good job of defense. They do a good job of tackling, you know, and just getting after it. You know, they're very focused when they're doing it. And, you know, special teams wise, you know,
the two 1-3 teams are facing off on the gridiron Thursday night at 7 o'clock in Bear Stadium in Moody. And Courtney Boyce went on to say that team, he's going to have to do a lot on special teams as well as all 3 aspects of the game to get his team rolling. The Texas Longhorns are 4-0 for the first time since 2012 and ranked number 3 in the nation. Former Hallettsville running back Jonathan Brooks had another monster game for the Burnt Orange, including this 40-yard touchdown to put his team up 7 in the first quarter against the Baylor Bears. But that would not be his only score on the night. 1 quarter later, Brooks got the call from 2 yards out, and he bulldozed his way into the pay dirt for yet another score. Hopefully he can keep it up against the 24-ranked Kansas Jayhawks Saturday at 2:30, once again right here on ABC. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
Gino, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, a woman in Iowa says her class ring was returned to her after 60 years. Strike by Hollywood screenwriters over Leaders of the Writers Union declared their nearly 5-month-old strike over Tuesday night after board members approved a contract agreement with studios. The Writers Guild of America voted to accept the deal, then declared that the strike would be over and writers would be free to work starting at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. An increase in space weather could lead to the greatest display of the northern lights in the past 2 decades. The NASA and NOAA-sponsored Solar Cycle 25 prediction panel said sunspot models show solar activity has surpassed recent forecasts. If the trend continues, the next 18 months could bring the strongest northern lights activity of both the coming decade and the past 20 years. Well, about 24 hours ago, the folks in Edna were not worried about the northern lights. They're worried about having any lights. I can just report to you the latest from AEP Texas. Only 17 customers in Jackson County do not have power. That's a massive improvement from earlier this morning after the storm.
Well, I mean, this morning everybody woke up and said, what happened here? I mean, because last night, you know, and you know, it's funny, have you ever seen a tree stripped of leaves by hail?
No.
Nope.
Okay. What happens is the hail, when it's, you know, like a marble or something like that, it passes through and it takes all the leaves off the tree. They wind up on the floor and you wind up seeing sticks just sticking up. So that's what was happening all over. And of course, the strong winds that blew through Edna last night. 30% chance tomorrow will be in the low 90s, but then we start moving up to the mid 90s by the time we get to this weekend. I know it's fall. I'm waiting for October, and hopefully we'll start seeing some temperatures that aren't starting with a 9.
We'll see. Thank you, Mac. Finally tonight, an Iowa woman's class ring found and returned after being lost for more than 60 years. After spotting a man with a metal detector, she shared her story of losing a class ring near the former Ferguson school 62 years ago. The man decided to take a look with his metal detector, and within half an hour, she finally had her ring back.
Actually, it was in a place that we really hadn't searched because we looked on the football field area where they played ball, and it was actually found more toward the road, toward Main Street.
Darla said her pastor calls it the miracle on Main Street because the ring was found away from the field and near the town's Main Street. All right.
And it
hey,
still fits.
There you go. All right. Thanks for joining us. 25 News now at 10. Join Karina Garcia, meteorologist Parker Cox. 25 News now Sunrise at 5 a.m.